Hey everyone, Noir here. Let's get into today's Reddit story.
My brother slept with my fiancée just days before our wedding, got her pregnant, and left my entire life in ruins. While they were busy figuring out their future together, I was left picking up the pieces of mine. They thought I would eventually forgive them like I always had. They could not have been more wrong. Up until a few months ago, I was engaged to the woman I had been with for 5 years. Then my younger brother slept with her just before our wedding, got her pregnant, and destroyed everything I had built. I broke his nose, kicked her out, and walked away. Now my parents expect me to forgive them, but I told them exactly where they could go. This story is long, and it is just as crazy as it sounds. I will keep it as brief as I can, but there is a lot to explain. I honestly do not care if anyone believes me. I just need to get this off my chest. I will leave out anything that could identify me. I am 32 years old. My fiancée, Lauren, and I had been together for 5 years. My younger brother, Tyler, is 29 and has always been the favorite child. To understand why this hurt so much, you need to know what my family was like. Growing up, Tyler could do no wrong. I was blamed for everything. If he broke something, I got punished. If he started a fight, I was grounded. Even when we both got straight A's, he received expensive gifts while I got a simple, good job. My parents, Bruce and Diane, always defended him. Tyler was younger. Tyler was more sensitive. I was older, so I was expected to deal with it. Living like that made me feel like I never mattered. Things only got worse as we grew up. When I earned a partial scholarship to a good college, my parents barely cared. When Tyler enrolled in community college, they threw him a party and bought him a car. Meanwhile, I had spent years riding my bike 5 miles to my part-time job. I moved out as soon as I could. I worked 2 jobs, took out loans, and paid my own way through college. Tyler quit after 1 semester because college was not for him. Instead of criticizing him, my parents praised his decision and kept paying for one failed business idea after another. Even after I moved away, they always pulled me back. Every family gathering turned into another comparison. They praised Tyler's latest business plan while ignoring the stable career I had worked hard to build, even though he was burning through their retirement savings. I still tried to have a relationship with him because he was my brother. It never went both ways. I always reached out first, and every conversation became a competition. If I got promoted, he suddenly had a huge opportunity. If I started dating someone, he claimed he had found someone serious too. That was how I met Lauren. She was friends with one of Tyler's girlfriends, and we clicked right away. She was smart, funny, kind, and beautiful. For the first time, I felt truly happy. My parents were not impressed. They joked that Lauren was out of my league and questioned why she wanted to be with me. Tyler, on the other hand, suddenly became very interested in my relationship. He kept asking about Lauren all the time. Back then, I thought he was just trying to be involved. Looking back, I should have seen the warning signs. Lauren and I moved in together after a year. We both had good jobs, traveled together, and started planning our future. I finally felt like I had the life I always wanted. On our 4th anniversary, I proposed during a quiet dinner at home. She said yes, and I honestly believed everything was falling into place. We decided on a long engagement because we were in no hurry. We thought we had our whole lives ahead of us. We had no idea everything was about to fall apart. Up until then, I believed we had our whole future ahead of us. Or at least I thought we did. When we told my family we were engaged, Their reactions were about what I should have expected. My mom forced a smile and said, "Oh, how nice," without sounding happy at all. My dad barely looked away from the television before muttering, "Good luck with that." Tyler's reaction was the one that stuck with me. He congratulated us, but there was something strange about the way he smiled. At the time, I convinced myself I was imagining it. The next year was filled with wedding planning and long hours at work. Lauren and I were both trying to save money for the wedding and a down payment on a house, so we were busier than ever. We did not spend as much time together, but I figured every couple goes through stressful periods. Looking back, the warning signs were obvious. Lauren slowly became more distant. She was always texting someone, smiling at her phone before quickly saying it was just a friend from work. She started going out with her girlfriends more often and came home late, smelling like alcohol and men's cologne. I never questioned her because I trusted her completely. The idea that she could be cheating on me, especially with my own brother, never crossed my mind. About 4 months ago, things changed again. Lauren became moody, irritated over everything, and constantly sick. My first thought was that she might be pregnant, and honestly, I was excited. We had talked about having kids someday, even if we were not trying yet. I caught myself thinking about baby names and planning for our future. Then one night she sat me down, crying, and told me the truth. She was pregnant, but the baby was not mine. I froze. We had not been intimate much because of our schedules, but cheating never even entered my mind. When I finally asked who the father was, she broke down and quietly said, "Tyler." Everything fell apart in that moment. I could barely breathe. I could not think straight. All I felt was anger, betrayal, and disbelief. Through tears, Lauren told me everything. She said it started at our engagement party. Tyler pulled her aside and convinced her she was making a mistake by marrying me. He filled her head with lies, telling her she deserved someone better, and that he could give her everything I never could. It was not one drunken mistake. They had been sleeping together for months. I told Lauren to get out. I could not stand looking at her anymore. She begged me to forgive her, called it the biggest mistake of her life, and swore she still loved me. All I could think about was every lie she had told me, and every time she had been with my brother while wearing the engagement ring I gave her. As soon as she left, I called Tyler. I honestly do not remember everything I said because I was furious. At first, he brushed it off, saying it was a drunken mistake and meant nothing. Then, when I kept pushing him, he snapped and said, "Maybe if you had been a better fiancé, she would not have come to me." That was it. I got in my car and drove straight to his apartment. By the time I got there, my parents were already inside. Tyler had called them first and fed them a story about how Lauren had seduced him and how terrible he felt. And of course, they believed him. My mom immediately started talking about forgiveness and keeping the family together. My dad stood there with his arms crossed, looking disappointed, but not in Tyler. In me. I tried to tell them what had really happened, but they refused to listen. Instead, they told me I needed to forgive Tyler and support Lauren through the pregnancy because family comes first. I finally snapped. Years of anger came pouring out all at once. I told my parents exactly how I felt about the way they had always chosen Tyler over me. I reminded them that they had never once stood by my side when it mattered. Then I looked at Tyler and told him he was dead to me. He was no longer my brother. Finally, I told my parents they could keep the son they had always wanted because they no longer had me. Then I walked out. I drove around for hours with nowhere to go. I just needed to get away from all of them. When I finally got back to my apartment, my phone was full of missed calls and messages. Lauren begged me for another chance. Tyler switched back and forth between apologizing and blaming me. My parents demanded that I grow up and fix everything. I ignored every single one of them. I stopped eating, barely slept, and took time off work using my vacation days. I could not face anyone or explain what had happened. I spent my days sitting alone in my apartment, replaying every moment of my relationship with Lauren, wondering how I had missed something so devastating. It has been 3 months since everything fell apart. I moved into a new apartment, changed my phone number, and started therapy to deal with everything. Even so, my family refuses to leave me alone. No matter how hard I try to cut them off, they always find another way to reach me. They have even started showing up at my job, hoping to corner me and force some kind of reconciliation. My mom waits for me in the parking lot, crying and saying I am destroying the family. My dad keeps leaving angry voicemails telling me to grow up and forgive Tyler. Tyler has tried talking to me a few times too, but I have avoided him every time. It did not stop there. My parents started using other relatives to pressure me. Aunts, uncles, and cousins I had not heard from in years suddenly began calling and texting, telling me that family comes first and I should let it go. It is like they all live in a different world where what Tyler and Lauren did was just a small mistake, instead of something that completely destroyed my life. Then yesterday, Lauren sent me a message. She told me she was keeping the baby and planned to raise it with Tyler. My parents are thrilled about becoming grandparents, acting like none of this matters. They have completely forgotten all the negative things they used to say about Lauren when she was with me. Her message was full of apologies and excuses. She claimed that she and Tyler had found real love through everything that happened. Then she actually said she hoped all of us could be friends one day for the baby's sake. I could not believe what I was reading. At this point, I do not know what to do anymore. Part of me wants to leave everything behind, move to another state and start over somewhere nobody knows me. Another part of me is still so angry that I want to stay and make every one of them face what they have done. This betrayal has affected every part of my life. I hate being alone with my thoughts. I cannot even imagine dating again because trusting someone feels impossible now. I have even lost friends over this. Some of them think I should forgive my family and take the high road, as if I am the one who did something wrong. The hardest part is knowing Lauren and Tyler are going to raise a child together. The life I thought I was going to have disappeared overnight. I know the baby is innocent and did nothing wrong, but I cannot pretend I feel happy about any of this. Now my parents keep saying I need to be part of the child's life because I will be the uncle. Just thinking about that makes me sick. How am I supposed to look at that child and not be reminded of the biggest betrayal of my life? So that is why I am here asking for advice. Am I wrong for refusing to forgive my brother and my ex-fiancée? Am I wrong for cutting my family out of my life after everything they have done? Right now, I feel like I am drowning in betrayal, lies, and manipulation. If you made it this far, thank you for reading. Writing all of this down has honestly helped more than I expected. Maybe I am looking for advice. Maybe I just needed someone to hear my side of the story. The next morning, I woke up to thousands of responses. I was honestly overwhelmed by all the support and advice people had shared. It is going to take me some time to read through every comment, but I wanted to answer a few of the questions that came up the most. First, yes, I have already spoken with a lawyer about getting a restraining order against my family. The process is already underway. Second, I do not plan to have any relationship with the baby. None of this is the child's fault, but I cannot be involved without destroying my own mental health. Third, for everyone asking about my job, I have already spoken with human resources. They know what happened, have been very supportive, increased security at the office, and even offered to let me work from home more often. Fourth, many people suggested moving to another city or even another state. I am seriously considering it. My company has offices in several locations, so transferring is a real possibility. I am still weighing my options. Finally, many people asked about a DNA test. Lauren admitted the affair, and the timeline matches. I have no reason to believe the baby is not Tyler's. Even if, somehow, the child turned out to be mine, I honestly do not know if I could ever separate that child from everything that happened. One thing that surprised me the most was how many people shared stories similar to mine. It is heartbreaking to realize how common this kind of betrayal really is, but knowing I am not alone has helped more than I expected. One thing that really stuck with me was how many people shared stories like mine. It is heartbreaking to realize how common this kind of betrayal is, but it also helps to know I am not alone. Thank you to everyone who opened up and shared your experiences. A lot of people also asked about legal action against Tyler for breaking up my relationship. I looked into it, but my state does not recognize those kinds of claims. Even if it did, I honestly do not have the energy for another fight right now. Several people mentioned that Tyler shows signs of narcissistic behavior. I have started reading about narcissistic personality disorder, and a lot of what I found sounds familiar. It does not excuse what he has done, but it has helped me understand him a little better. Many of you also asked about Lauren's family. They were just as shocked as anyone else. They cut contact with her and even reached out to support me. It does not fix anything, but it meant a lot. Some people wondered if I still wanted children someday. Right now, I honestly do not know. Everything that has happened has made me question whether I even want a family anymore. I am trying not to make any major decisions while I am still healing. For now, my only goal is to move forward. If anything important happens, I will share another update. Thank you again to everyone who reached out. Your advice and support have helped me more than you probably realize. I may not reply to every message, but I have read every one of them, and they have made me feel far less alone. About 2 weeks have passed since I shared my story, and a lot has happened. First, thank you again for all the support. I never expected so many people to read my story. Going through your comments has been emotional, but it has also reminded me that I am not the only person who has gone through something like this. The last couple of weeks have been exhausting. I mentioned before that I was trying to get a restraining order against my family. What I thought would be a simple process turned into a much bigger fight. My lawyer filed everything, and eventually we had our court hearing. I believed the evidence and the constant harassment would make the decision easy. Instead, my parents showed up with an expensive lawyer who tried to convince the judge that I was the real problem. They claimed I was destroying the family over one misunderstanding, as if my brother accidentally ended up sleeping with my fiancée. Thankfully, the judge did not believe them. The restraining order was granted against both Tyler and my parents. My mother burst into tears in the courtroom, while my father stared at me like I had betrayed them. Tyler looked absolutely furious. As we were leaving the courthouse, Tyler tried to walk over to me. My lawyer stepped in immediately and reminded him that the restraining order had just been approved. Tyler only smirked and said this was not over and that I could not hide behind a piece of paper forever. I would be lying if I said that did not bother me, but at least now I have some legal protection. Work has been another challenge. I mentioned before that my family kept showing up there. Last week, things finally reached a breaking point. I was in a meeting with a client when my assistant called to tell me my mother was in the lobby causing a scene. She had brought an old family photo album and was showing my coworkers baby pictures of Tyler and me while crying about how close her sons used to be. I left the meeting and went downstairs. She was standing in the middle of the lobby, surrounded by uncomfortable coworkers, telling embarrassing childhood stories. The moment she saw me, she started walking toward me and tried talking about the baby's future. I stopped her before she could say another word. I told her she needed to leave immediately, or I would call the police for trespassing and violating the restraining order. She looked completely shocked, but after everything she had put me through, I felt nothing. Security escorted her out, and I spent the next hour apologizing to my boss and coworkers. Most of them were understanding, but I could tell some were wondering what kind of family drama had followed me to work. Then came the worst part. Last Saturday, I was at the gym trying to clear my head by hitting the punching bag. I was completely focused on my workout until I heard a familiar voice behind me. I turned around. It was Tyler. He stood there with a smug smile on his face, acting like he had not just violated the restraining order. Then he started talking loudly enough for everyone around us to hear. Tyler started talking loudly so everyone nearby could hear. I told him to leave before I called the police, but he just laughed. He said he would tell them I had been threatening him and Lauren. That was the last straw. I threw the first punch. My fist caught him square in the jaw, and he stumbled back before charging at me. We ended up on the floor throwing punches like we were kids again. The difference was that this time nobody was there to separate us or tell me to be the bigger person. I landed a few solid hits before the gym staff pulled us apart. Tyler's nose was bleeding, and mine was already swelling. We were both yelling and trying to get back at each other until the manager threatened to call the police. That finally brought me back to reality. I grabbed my things and left. On the drive home, while I was still shaking from the adrenaline, an unknown number called me. I should not have answered, but I did. It was Lauren. She immediately started screaming that I had broken Tyler's nose and that he might need surgery. I actually laughed. After everything they had done, hearing her blame me was so ridiculous that I could not help myself. I told her I was sorry I hurt her new boyfriend, the same man she had been sleeping with behind my back for months. She burst into tears and started talking about how stressed she was, how the baby could feel her stress, and how selfish I was being. I hung up and blocked the number. The fallout from that fight spread fast. Everyone seemed to know about it within a day. My phone filled with messages from friends and relatives. Some supported me, while others attacked me for hitting my poor, innocent brother. Lauren's parents contacted me again to say they were still on my side and deeply disappointed in their daughter. It did not fix anything, but I appreciated it. The restraining order no longer feels like enough. Tyler has already ignored it once, and now I have no idea what he might do next. Then things got even worse. The day after the fight, my lawyer called to tell me Tyler had filed assault charges against me. I explained exactly what happened, that Tyler violated the restraining order and deliberately provoked me. My lawyer said we would fight the charges, but because I threw the first punch, it would not be easy. We also started filing charges against Tyler for violating the restraining order. My lawyer believes that will strengthen my case, but nothing is guaranteed. I have had to give statements to the police and show them the bruises on my face and hands. It is humiliating having to explain why I ended up fighting my own brother. The gym also banned both of us for life. I cannot really blame them. But it hurts because that was one of the few places where I could clear my head. A few days later, my cousin Megan called me. She has always been one of the few relatives I trusted, and now the rest of the family is giving her a hard time for supporting me. She told me what had been happening behind my back. My parents have been telling everyone that I am having some kind of mental breakdown. They are claiming Lauren and Tyler only got together after my relationship ended, and that I am just bitter because I cannot move on. Megan said plenty of relatives do not believe them, but some actually do. Knowing they are spreading lies about me while I am just trying to heal makes me sick. Things at work have not been much better. After my mom caused a scene at the office and the fight with Tyler started circulating on local social media, everyone has been treating me differently. Earlier this week, my boss called me into his office. He told me I was a valuable employee and understood everything I was dealing with. Then he suggested I take a paid leave until things settled down. He called it a personal sabbatical. I wanted to argue because work was the only thing keeping me together, but I could tell the decision had already been made. So I packed up my office and agreed. As I was leaving, I overheard two co-workers whispering about how my brother got my fiancée pregnant. I slammed my office door a little harder than I meant to. It was childish, but seeing them jump gave me a tiny bit of satisfaction. I would be lying if I said all of this has not changed me. Lately, I spend hours driving around at night just to avoid sitting alone in my apartment. Sometimes I end up parked outside the house Lauren and I used to share, wondering how everything fell apart so completely. Then, in the middle of all this, someone unexpected reached out to me. It was Lauren's younger sister, Chloe. A few days later, I got a message from Lauren's younger sister, Chloe. She apologized for everything her sister had done and offered to support me. At first, I thought it might be some kind of trick, but after talking to her, I realized she was just as disgusted by Lauren's actions as I was. Chloe has been keeping me updated on what is happening. Apparently, Lauren and Tyler have already moved in together and are acting like a happy couple, as if they did not destroy several lives to get there. According to Chloe, Lauren has been telling everyone she is the real victim. She cries about how she never meant to hurt anyone and insists that she and Tyler are soulmates who finally found each other. Just hearing that makes me sick. Still, I appreciate Chloe telling me the truth, even if it is information I would rather never hear. Social media has been another disaster. I have always been a private person, but somehow this whole situation became public. Someone, I am guessing one of Tyler's friends, posted about our fight at the gym in a local Facebook group. They did not mention our names, but there were enough details for anyone who knew us to figure it out. The comments quickly turned into a war. Some people said Tyler got exactly what he deserved. Others called me unstable and said I should be locked up. One night, after a few beers, I made the mistake of reading through all the comments. I got so angry that I threw my phone across the room and cracked the screen. After that, I deactivated most of my social media accounts. I could not deal with strangers and people I had not spoken to in years, constantly messaging me for gossip about my life. Lately, I have realized I cannot stay in this city anymore. There are too many memories and too many chances of running into Lauren, Tyler, or my parents. I have started looking into a transfer through work. There is an opening at our Seattle office, and I am seriously considering it. Seattle was never my dream city, but at this point I would move anywhere if it meant leaving all of this behind. I have not made a final decision yet, but the idea of starting over sounds better every day. A new city, a new apartment, a new life. Somewhere people do not know me as the guy whose brother got his fiancée pregnant. Since the restraining order was approved, My parents have been unusually quiet. Honestly, that worries me more than if they were still calling. I keep waiting for them to find another way back into my life. Meanwhile, Lauren has been posting nonstop about her pregnancy. Chloe says her social media is full of ultrasound photos, baby bump pictures, and captions about how blessed she and Tyler are to be starting a family together. Every new post feels like reopening a wound that has barely started to heal. So that is where things stand. 2 weeks ago, I thought my life could not possibly get any worse. Somehow, it did. I am still angry. I am still hurt. Mostly, I am just exhausted. At this point, I do not even know what I am asking for anymore. Advice, support, or maybe a time machine so I never introduce Lauren to my brother in the first place. Whatever happens next, I will let you know. Your support has meant more than you realize. It reminds me there are still decent people out there, even if it feels like my own world has been built on lies and betrayal. A week has passed since my last update, and I am hoping this will be the final one. Before anything else, thank you again for all the advice and support. It has helped me get through the hardest period of my life. A lot has happened in just 7 days. The biggest news is that I am moving. I accepted the transfer to my company's Seattle office. It was not an easy choice, but after everything that has happened, I finally realized I needed a completely fresh start. The decision came after another meeting with my lawyer about Tyler's assault charges. When I got home that afternoon, I found a letter waiting in my mailbox. It was from Lauren. At first, I almost threw it away unopened. Instead, I read it. Inside was an ultrasound picture along with a handwritten note. She wrote about how excited she and Tyler were to become parents. Then she said she hoped I could be happy for them and that their baby would love having me as an uncle. I completely lost it. Without even thinking, I grabbed my phone, unblocked Lauren, and called her. She answered on the second ring. I did not hold anything back. I told her exactly what I thought about her, Tyler, and the perfect little family they thought they had built. I said she was completely delusional if she believed I would ever want anything to do with that child. As far as I was concerned, she, Tyler, and their new life could all disappear from mine forever. It was not my proudest moment, but for the first time, I felt like I had finally said everything I had been keeping inside. That phone call made one thing clear. I could not stay in that city anymore. That same night, I called my boss and accepted the transfer to Seattle. Honestly, he sounded relieved. I think he was worried all this drama would eventually affect work. He promised to speed up the transfer, and by the next morning, everything was approved. I had 2 weeks to pack my life into boxes and move across the country. Once people found out I was leaving, the reactions came fast. My parents were furious. They showed up at my apartment again, ignoring the restraining order, hoping they could change my mind. My mom cried and accused me of abandoning the family. My dad yelled that I was being selfish and immature. I did not argue. I called the police. They were removed for violating the restraining order. As the officers escorted them away, my mom screamed that I would regret walking away because family was everything. I closed the door and went back to packing. Tyler handled it differently. He never contacted me directly, probably because of the legal case. Instead, he posted a long message on social media about how some people could not stand seeing others happy and how he and Lauren were choosing love over hate while preparing for their new family. Everyone knew who he was talking about. Seeing so many people support him hurt, but I reminded myself they only knew the version of the story he wanted them to hear. Lauren's reaction surprised me the most. After our phone call, she reached out to her sister Chloe. Chloe later told me that Lauren completely broke down. She admitted she knew what she and Tyler had done was wrong and confessed she was scared about what the future would bring. Then my cousin Megan came over to help me pack. While we were boxing everything up, she told me something I never expected. Apparently, my aunt, my mom's sister, finally confronted my parents. She called my mom out for spending years choosing Tyler over me and pushing me away. The argument got heated, and she told both of my parents they were finally facing the consequences of their own favoritism. I cannot lie. Hearing that someone finally stood up for me felt good. The legal case is still ongoing, but my lawyer says my move will not affect it. We are still pursuing charges against Tyler for violating the restraining order while defending against the assault charges he filed against me. My lawyer believes the judge will see through Tyler's story, especially because he has already ignored the restraining order once. Moving across the country also helps prove that I am not the one trying to harass him. This will probably be my last update. If I really want a fresh start, I have to stop looking back. Sharing my story here has helped me more than I can explain. But now it is time to focus on building a new life, instead of reliving the old one. So this is goodbye. Wish me luck. I have a new beginning waiting for me in Seattle, and I am determined to make the most of it.